Hi there, welcome to Access Module 2. We will be continuing to work in our veterinarian database that we created in Module 1. If you would like to continue to work with the database you created while you were listening to the lecture, feel free to do so, or you can download a new copy of the Access Module 1 database that we will begin with when we start this module. So you may also follow along on your book on AC Module 2. Let's get started. So to begin, notice that Sam has placed a project info screen in this file. I'm going to close it, but I will remember that it's there when I get to that part in the lecture. To begin with, we are going to start with a query. You learned how to make a query in Module 1 by using the Query Wizard, but today we will be creating a query in Design View. So let's go to Create and Query Design. Now at this point, we have to decide which tables we will be including in our query. This is very important. If you pass this step without doing it, then you might as well just close out of your query and start over. So I'm going to add the appointments table to my query. And then I'll go ahead and close this box. What I see right here in my query design window is all the fields that are available in the appointments table. If I hover over the right corner and click and drag, I can see them all. And down here is where I will create my query. We'll come back to that in a second. Before we do that, let's take a look at our owners table and add some records. So I'll go ahead and open the owners table in Datasheet view. And I'm going to click right here below the O2 to enter in some new information for another client. So O3, and then I'll type the owner first name, last name, and I'll continue typing in the rest of the information. Remember, as you're entering records, you use your tab key to move through the fields. I'll be back once they're all entered in. Okay, I've gone ahead and entered in the records for the owners table, so I'll close out of that, and let's take a look at the patients table. In the patients table, they want me to change the patient ID numbers to match the figure in the book. So Paws is supposed to be P10, Ranger is supposed to be P11, and Fluffy is supposed to be P12. And then it goes on to tell me that I need to enter in the rest of the records that are shown in that figure. So I'll go ahead and do that. And once I'm done, I will be back. I'm done entering the info for the patients table. I'll go ahead and close it. And next, I need to work on the veterinarians table. In this, I need to enter in a couple more veterinarians that are now working. So I'll go ahead and do that, and I'll be back. Now that I'm done entering in the info for the veterinarians, I'll close out of that and come back to my query. So now back on this query, let's take a look at the fields that are available for my appointments table. I want to double-click veterinarian to add that to my query. So double-click on a field to add it to your query. I also want to double-click on appointment date, appointment time, patient ID, treatment number, and owner. Once I have set up my query, now it's time to put in some criteria. Whenever you're using a query, you're usually searching for something specific. So if you look down here in this area, you'll notice there is a criteria line. I want to find the veterinarian's appointments for G01. That's the veterinarian's ID. So underneath the veterinarian field, under criteria, I'm going to type in G01. And then to run a query, if you come up to the Query Tools Design tab, you'll see a Run button. So I'll click Run. That'll run the query and return back to me the veterinarian, the appointment date, the appointment time, and the patient and treatment number and owner number that this veterinarian is going to see. Once I have done this query, I can go ahead and save it. I can use the quick save button, and it is going to ask me to name it. I'm going to name this M02 for Module 2, Query 01, so Q01. Once I'm done with this query, I'll go ahead and close it out. Now I would like to take a look at the owner's query. We are going to talk about wildcards, but we'll use the owner's query to do that. If I right-click on it, I can open it in Design View. And you'll see once again up here we have our owner's table and all the fields in it. And then down here, these fields have been added from the owner's table. Now, we talked about how you enter in a criteria for a specific field on this line. You can use something called a wildcard in this criteria. Let's take a look at that. If I want to find anybody that lives in a state that starts with a U, underneath of owner state in the criteria row, I would type U asterisk. That asterisk represents a collection of characters, any collection of characters. So it's going to return to me any state that starts with the letter U. I'll go ahead and click Run, and it will return back to me all of the owners that live in Utah. If I go back to Design View and erase that out, so to do a different one, if I typed in C asterisk and hit Run, it will return all of the ones from Colorado. I can use this wildcard in any field, so I could even use it in the owner's last name field, for instance. I could have anybody that starts with the letter K. So all of the owners whose last names start with K. There we go. We have 3 different ones. I'll go back now and erase all of that. Really, U asterisk is the query that I want, the way I want to use the wildcard in this query. I want to be careful not to save over the owner's query, so I'll go to File, Save As, Save Object As, and hit Save As, and instead of being copy of owner's query, I'm going to name this M02 Q02. So the only reason I have to worry about this is because it wasn't a new query that I created. I actually altered the owner's query in the beginning. Let's open the owner's query again in Design View, and we'll look at a wildcard and showing fields. So where it says owner's postal code, we are going to, on the criteria line, put 813 and then asterisk. So what this means is I want every record of an owner that lives in the area code or the postal code 813. That's what it begins with. So I'll hit Run, and you'll see I get 2 returns back. I'll switch back to Design View. Let's talk about the Show button, or the Show box right here. This box is what shows the fields in the query when it returns the query. Say I don't want to show the postal code, but I do want to use it in my query. I can uncheck this box. It will still run the query looking for 813 wildcard postal codes, but it just won't show in the results. So when I hit Run, you'll see I don't have an owner's zip code. I'll go ahead and close out without saving.